you ready to do this?
Yeah.
All right. Welcome to It Is What It Is. I'm Shaw Marie.
I'm Jean.
And today we are going to talk about good old Richard Ramirez, which may be a 2 or a 3-parter. Who fucking knows? All I know is my arthritis is done collapsed on me, folks.
So lots of research on this gentleman?
Well,
or
yeah.
just lots of acts to talk about?
No, there's 14 different victims.
Oh.
And, like, I wrote about, like, almost every fucking person this man ever came into contact with.
What kind of year span was his crimes?
1.
He had 14 victims in 1 year?
Mm-hmm.
What?
Yeah.
So he just had a crazy year.
He just went fucking nuts.
You know.
His trial took longer than, like, the actual crimes itself.
Yeah. They say when you have a what is it called? Midlife crisis or whatever. I'm not sure how old this gentleman was.
He wasn't a gentleman. He was a young man.
Young man. I mean,
Yeah. He was not in a midlife crisis at all, I promise you that.
You're supposed to buy fast cars or have an affair and not kill people.
Right. Okay, so, like I said, there's a lot of stuff, so we're going to just jump into it like we always do. Anyway, so Richard Ramirez was born on February 29th of 1960 in El Paso, Texas. He is the baby of the family, which probably explains a lot, because I always find this like the baby of the family. That's a needy motherfucker right there.
Hey.
At least in my family. I love my little brother. I do. My husband says that I use him as like my slave. I personally don't think so. But we'll do our little mini one or whatever is kind of going to be about our families and whatever. So I'll get into that later. But anyway, back to this. Sorry. His mom and dad are Jillian. His dad is Julian.
Jillian?
Yeah. And Mercedes Ramirez, sorry.
Julian, maybe?
His dad only had a first grade education, and he was a cop in Mexico. They left Mexico, and he later became a laborer on the Santa Fe Railroad. He had fits of anger, which I guess leads to physical abuse of everyone in his home. I guess he used to beat them with belts. But, like, really, who didn't? Unless, like, you're not...
That was discipline back then.
Right? You know what I mean? Like, I did. I sure the fuck did.
Yeah.
Like...
Beat people with a belt?
No, got beat with a belt.
Okay. You gotta
Yeah, no, I got beat with a belt. But, like, shit, who knows? He became a murderer. I'm fascinated with him. Maybe we have a connection.
Well,
just kidding.
Fits of rage are kind of different than discipline because we're supposed to still maintain control when you're disciplining your children. If you go into a fit of rage and you decide to volcano on that someone, you know that you just pray for that person.
Right. I really do. He would, beat his kids with a belt anyway. So when Mercedes was pregnant with all 5 of her kids, she worked in this boot warehouse kind of place. And the place had no venting, like no ventilation at all. So she's in there all fucking day. She's huffing all this shit. Mm-hmm. And so all of her kids were born with birth defects. And I'm not like, it's like some of them was like lungs. Like something was wrong with their lungs, didn't develop properly. And then others were bone, like a bone disorder of some sorts. Mm-hmm. I don't know which of them all, like what ones had what. I don't know that. I didn't
back in those
find that.
days.
I did try. I really did try. Like I tried my hardest to find out, but I couldn't find like an actual...
This person had this.
Yeah.
This person had this. Well, and back in those days in the factories and stuff, I mean, I don't think OSHA was around at the...
Yeah, no, I don't think so either.
All that jazz, so they really didn't give a shit.
So when Little Richie, they call him Little Richie, his family and his friends from when he was little. I mean, even up to the day he died, he was still called Little Richie. Not Little Richie, just Richie. Anyway, so when he was 2, a dresser fell on him that left like a permanent scar on him.
Oh, shit.
So that's brain injury number 1. Brain injury number 2 is when he was 5, he got knocked the fuck out by a swing. Like, got knocked the fuck out.
Yeah.
And which... that actually, sadly, kind of started making him angry. Like, that's where his anger starts, is when this happens when he's 5. He gets a little bit older. He wants to start playing sports and like getting into football was his thing. He really, really wanted to play football and like be a part of a team, but he couldn't because he had seizures. He started having seizures after
From the head trauma.
Yeah, after knockout number 2, he started having seizures. And he was, by all accounts, dude, the sweetest, nicest little boy you could have ever come across. Like, he was sweet and kind. The couple documentaries I watched on YouTube, like, there's this girl that went to school with him, and she's like, oh my God, everybody loved him. Like, he had little girlfriends every day. Cute, precious little moments.
Pretty popular.
So he couldn't play football, so that started making him mad, right?
Yeah.
And then he gets a little bit older, and about the age of 10, his cousin comes into the picture, and he's like, hey, dude, let's kick it. And so he starts smoking weed with them to bond.
Yeah.
When he's 10.
Yeah.
So.
Not unheard of.
Not unheard of.
No.
Too young. But,
yes.
And for me to say that, I mean, I tried pot when I was like 13, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not 10.
That is
Jesus. I was still technically a baby. You're still technically a baby. But yeah, so he started hanging out with his cousin Miguel. They called him Mike. He was a decorated Army Green Beret combat vet who saw combat in Vietnam. Or Vietnam. Is it Vietnam or Vietnam?
Vietnam.
Oh, we'll go with Nam. It's funner.
Yeah.
Is that disrespectful?
No.
Okay. Legit. So he had
Nam, though, so
he had a little hobby when he was over in Nam, and
the cousin did.
The cousin did, yeah. So when he goes to Nam, he develops a liking to raping and killing the village women, and no one gave a fuck. They were like, oh well, they are enemies of war, so sorry about your bad luck. But he would take these women into the jungle, rape them, and tie them up to trees and kill them.
Huh.
And you started taking
He
pictures.
didn't get in trouble for that?
No, dude, no. No one fucking cared. They were like, no, these chicks are enemies of war, dude. We don't give a fuck. Like,
or they didn't know about it, maybe.
No, it was not uncommon.
Huh.
Like, from what I read, dude, like, when I clicked that button, I wish I could have unclicked the shit that fucking happened to those poor women over there that no one... Families. Dude, they'd massacre families just because. So, I mean, we won't even go into Nam. Fucking, that shit's sad. But anyway, so, yeah, that's what he started doing when he was over there. So, he comes home, and he shows this little shoebox full of Polaroids. I mean, and think the effort that had to take.
Yeah.
It ain't like a cell phone, bro.
Polaroids are different.
Yeah, so he had a whole shoebox full of Polaroids of all this shit. So he started showing Richie these. Little Richard. And Richard's a fucking baby. Dude,
I was just going to ask that. So these guys were not in the same age group. This Vietnam vet just wanted to hang out with the 10-year-old.
Yeah.
I'm kind of worried.
And when this started happening, it was from like 10 to 12 is when they really started like hanging out. And that's how he would start filling his time. Because he couldn't do anything else. You know what I mean? He was having fucking,
sports and stuff, yeah. Well, and I can see some anger and resentment in that too. You know?
And they were big family-oriented people. And, like, I come from a family-oriented place where I grew up with my cousins. So, this to me is very everyday life.
Yeah.
So, one day, Mike and his wife, and before I say this, he taught little Richard how to, like, kill in stealth mode and shit. So he taught him like all these horrible things. And he always told him that I don't know if this is true. I did read it in like 2 different places, so we'll say it's true.
Yeah.
If it's on the internet, God bless it, it's true. So,
that's not a valid statement.
Right. Well, I don't know. Shit. There's people out there who actually believe it, bro. So if it's on the internet, it's true. So he used to keep his gun in the fridge, but I don't know if that makes a gun not work. You know what I mean?
Keeps it fresh.
Yeah, that's what he said. He said he likes to keep it fresh. I'm not even fucking kidding you.
I don't know. I was wondering about the water condensation.
Yeah, I don't know.
Usually.
Maybe we won't say it's true because it does sound kind of dumb.
Yeah.
But needless to say,
I always keep them in a dry area so they don't explode, but weird. Okay.
Right.
Keep
So he's over at fucking Mike's house on May 4th.
Yeah.
Okay. Him and his wife are fighting. Her name's Jessica.
Mm-hmm.
And they're fighting. And some stories say, I'll tell you both versions.
Okay.
Some stories say that he goes to the fridge, pulls out the gun, shoots her in the face. Other stories say he just fucking pulls out the gun mid-argument and shot her in the face.
Oh.
And little Richie never told his parents that he was there for the actual, that he saw her die.
Oh, wow.
But he said that it was slow motion and he could see the dime size hole in her head. So he could see it. He said it was all slow motion, her blood was on his face. So that's his first introduction.
Yeah.
To murder. And whatnot have you.
So did the uncle get in trouble for that one?
No, he didn't actually, sadly.
What?
He didn't. So he was found.
Texas?
Yeah, he was found not guilty by reason of insanity. And he was released in 1977 from the Texas Mental Hospital.
Whoa.
Richard then moved. Well, Richard was sleeping in the fucking graveyard down across the street from his house. To not deal with his dad, I guess. And all the screaming and the yelling and the beating that's going on in the home, he would sleep in the fucking graveyard.
Oh.
And so after this...
Some people find that comforting.
After, before the killing, though, this wasn't him.
Oh.
This was out of character.
Yeah.
But after him witnessing the killing, something switched in that boy. Something happened.
A darkness, maybe?
Yeah. Something just happened. I don't know if it was his uncle going away. Because, when his uncle went away is when he started sleeping in the graveyard and stuff. So, but anyway, he moves in with his sister. His sister Ruth is the only sister out of 5 kids. She's the only sister.
Yeah. Was she the oldest?
No, I don't believe so. I believe she was the second. I think she was just right above Richard, I think.
Yeah.
Don't fucking quote me on that. But I think so. So her husband, Roberto, was a peeping Tom. He was a very creepy ass guy from what I understand.
Oh, good.
He was a good old fashioned creep. And he would take little Richard along with him at night and be like, hey.
So he did not have good male role models in his life.
Yeah, no.
Anywhere.
Yeah, no. No. So he drops out of high school. One story from his high school, though, that I've been told because I watch the fucking TV. But anyway, one story is that this girl that he knew, they went to the same school the whole time. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And they're walking down a hallway like they have done many times. It's just her and Richard in this hallway. Mm-hmm. Dude, she says that she and his head was down, right? As picture it, she's coming this way, he's coming from that way. His head's down, kind of. Mm-hmm. They go closer to each other, and he looks up at her and looks at her. And then they continue on. She said that she has, that was the biggest rush of fear, true fear that she's ever felt. And imagine that. You've known this dude since fucking kindergarten. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? We go way back, buddy. And then we're in high school and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, damn.
I do not want to be next to this man.
This guy is what happened to you? Do you need a hug? What the fuck happened? So that happened. So then he gets a job working at the Holiday Inn. Mm-hmm. And I always just think of this fucking song. Anyway. So yeah, he drops out of school, goes to work at the Holiday Inn, where he would use his pass key to come in while you're fucking sleeping and rob you.
Oh.
So one day he sees a chick getting out of the shower, I guess, and he's like, you know what, I'm gonna fucking rape her. And I'm just gonna do it. So he does. He attacks this woman. He's raping her. Uh-huh. her fucking husband walks in to the worst thing a husband can walk in on in a million fucking years.
He just went to go get some more bags out of the car, maybe?
Or? Move the car, I guess. I don't know if they just, like, got back or, like, what the deal is. I don't know. I didn't really go into it because you'll find out why. Mm-hmm. So, her husband beats the fuck out of him.
Good.
Like, he got beat the fuck up. And so he goes to jail for it, but he didn't get charged because the lady was like, I'm fucking over this. Like, I'm not.
She didn't want to sit in a courtroom.
Yeah, she didn't want to testify. She didn't want to go through the whole thing.
Want to go home.
So her and her husband were like, we're never coming back here. So by all means, no. And I always just, like, I read it and I watched it and I'm talking to Eric about it. And I'm like, dude, could you live with yourself? Knowing what he becomes, knowing you're number one, you were the first one. You could have stopped something. I mean, he may ending up doing it. I mean, because it was just what he wanted. But I don't know. I think I would feel like a massive piece of shit my whole life.
For not turning that in?
For not going, for not proceeding with it.
Well, how come
for letting him get away?
Sometimes the state will be like, well, fuck you, we're pressing charges. We don't need you to press charges.
I don't think it was like that, though, back then. And keep in mind, that's true.
It's
They're all
the
Mexican immigrants. Yeah. And stuff like that. That's where he's living. You know what I mean? That's his culture.
Yeah.
So, and from what I read in Texas at that time, they weren't the most cared about folks. Mm-hmm. Sadly. So, I don't think it was...
Well, there's still racism and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it was that big of a... I think really when she was like, no, I'm good, they were like, okay, cool, less paperwork for me.
Yeah.
Go home.
Yeah.
So, anyway, and then he moves. At 22, he moves to California. And stepping off the bus, he says it's like Candyland for a killer. Because you have street workers over here. As he put it, he could buy pussy over here. He could fucking get a gun over here. Like, it was everything he's always wanted. Because he's been fantasizing about rape and torture and killing people since high school. Mm-hmm. Like, that's when it all set it in. So, I don't know. Maybe the move to California is really what tipped it all off. Anyway, he was 22. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know exactly the day he moved to California or, like, what month it was. I couldn't find any of that. So, on April 10th, 1984, Mylyn, they call her Linda. Her name's Mylyn Ling, I think. Don't quote me on that. I'm really horrible. Like, my dyslexia is so horrible when it comes to reading. I'm not even kidding.
You're doing great. But, I didn't know until you said something.
And her 8-year-old little brother, dude, they go down to the basement of the apartment building that they live in. They go down to the basement because he lost $1 earlier in the day.
Yeah.
And so she's like, fuck, yeah, she didn't say fuck. She's sweet and she's cute and she's precious. But
took her little brother downstairs to help him.
Well, I think it's her older brother.
Oh.
To be honest. Hold on. Maybe. We'll get there. Because her 8-year-old little brother... down to the basement to find the $1. They get separated for some reason. It's a huge basement from what I understand because it's the bottom of...
Didn't you say it was an apartment?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like the basement where everybody's storage and shit is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's all creepy and scary.
What was he doing down there in the first place?
I don't know. So he goes home and he's like, okay, I'm going to wait. So he waits for about 30 minutes and he's like, I'm going to go back down there. She's not coming back. This poor sweet little boy found his little sister hanging from a pipe. She was beaten, stabbed, and raped. And now her case was cold for 25 years.
Wow.
They didn't point it back to him until a cold case detective came over her case. And it was stuck with her because it was one of the cases she first had when she first became an officer. Mm-hmm. And so she was stuck with it. And so when she got the opportunity, she was like, I'm going to solve that shit.
I think you'd never be able to see that.
Yeah. Right. Oh. Yeah. So that was pretty much her thing. She was like, I got to solve it for that little girl. Like, she needs justice.
Yeah.
And so in 2009, Richard Ramirez's DNA was a match.
Thank God for DNA testing.
Yeah. So now we're going to take a time jump. So remember, that is April 10th, okay, of 84.
84.
Yeah. On June 28th of 1984, 79-year-old Jeannie Vincow was brutally murdered in her apartment in Glasdale Park in Los Angeles. She was stabbed repeatedly while she was sleeping. Her throat was cut so bad that she was almost decapitated. And they got a fingerprint from the meshy part of the screen, because that's how he got in. Is he took the screen out and touched it with his finger, and then they had that on file. But this was back in the day. They were developing the system for fingerprint matching in Los Angeles and the California area at the time.
Yeah.
But it wasn't up and running yet. It was still, you had to go through millions of boxes of fingerprints and try to match it from millions and millions of fingerprints. Never was going to happen. Like, if that's all you had back in the day, that's all you're done.
I'm sure they had a process.
Yeah. I mean, they kept it.
Yeah.
Thank God they kept it. She was stabbed repeatedly while she was sleeping, like I said. He got through the window. So he leaves her house, okay? And I think her daughter discovers her, if I'm not mistaken.
No.
Yeah. Because, like, they had plans and mom didn't answer her phone. And so the whole thing, she goes over and checks on her. Anyway, so on March 17th of 1985. Okay, so now we've gone into a new year. So we went from June of 84 to now we're in March 17. Okay, you following me? Okay, so I guess it was 2 years, technically, his crime spree. But
damn.
Yeah.
14? That's like one every other month.
Oh, dude, just wait.
Unless he doubled them up.
We got doubles, bro. He doubled it. Okay, hold on. On March 17th of 1985, he attacked 22-year-old Maria Hernandez. And he came in the garage while she was pulling into the garage. He snuck in at that time. Okay? So, he shoots her in the fucking face. Well, she puts her hand up and she has her keys in her hand. The keys reflect the bullet.
Yeah.
Like, God-saving measures was put into this shit.
Yeah.
And so she just falls down. She's like, yeah, I'm dead.
Yeah.
Like, I'll play dead for sure.
You betcha.
And so
her hand was bleeding, so that helps.
Right. And so she watches him. She sees him, like what he looks like and everything. She sees him. He walks into her house. She lives with Danielle Yoshi. She's 30 years old, and she heard the gunshot. So she runs into the kitchen, and she gets behind the counter.
Well, you hear a gunshot in your home. You know what I'm saying?
So she's freaking out.
Fuck.
Yeah, she's freaking the fuck out. So she goes and hides behind the counter. And then it's like eerie quiet. Eerie fucking quiet. She's like, okay. And she saw him come in. So she's like, he's in here somewhere. I'm going to peek up to see where this dude's at. So the minute her forehead is seen coming up, he shot her in the forehead. She was dead before she hit the ground. Yeah. I'll just let that sink in. Okay, so within an hour after killing one person, and he thinks he's killed 2 people, he does not know that she is alive.
The lady in the garage?
Yeah, he has no idea. Huh? What was her name?
Yeah, the superwoman that deflected the bullet.
Maria.
Mm-hmm.
So after that, he goes into Rosemead, California, where he pulled Toshi Leanne. I'm not good with that. We're just going to call her Victoria because that's what people called her. He pulled her out of the car, shot her twice with a handgun, and he ran away. And she had died by the time they got to the hospital. So the 2 murders and the attempted third in one day was all over the fucking news because they were like, good God.
Mm-hmm.
What has happened here in California? Local news. People are fucking crazy. And so they put out that they were warning ladies. They're like, dude, lock your doors, because how they described him was a curly haired attacker with big eyes and rotting teeth was dubbed the walk-in killer. How fucking gay of a name. I'd be so mad. Or the Valley Intruder. Also.
Valley Intruder.
Stupid as fuck.
Yeah.
So, on March 27th of 1985, okay, so this is just 10 days later, he went back to the house he robbed a year before in Weed Eater, California. Does that sound familiar? Weed Eater?
Whittier?
Yeah. Does that sound familiar? Oh.
It's somewhere in Cali, I'm sure.
Yeah, okay.
They have
Somewhere in
lots
Cali.
of little towns and suburbs and stuff.
I'm so not good with, like, names of towns. Like, I know the state you're in, and I have Google. So
It's easier if it's I don't know, something that's rhymable and easy to remember.
Yeah, who knows? You guys can yell at me later for it, I guess. At 2 a.m., he shot 64-year-old Vincent Charles Zamazara in the head while he was sleeping. Okay, so his sweet wife, Maxine, who's 44 years old, wakes up to her husband being shot in the head.
Ugh.
Like, I love my husband.
Yeah.
Talk about fucking traumatizing.
Yeah.
So he beats her and binds her hands. And while he's ransacking the house and the room or whatever, she knows that there's a shotgun underneath their bed. She doesn't know if it's loaded or not. I'm assuming, okay? This is hypothetical because we don't know. But there was a shotgun underneath the bed. She pulls it out, dude. She has it pointed right at his face. She pulls the trigger. Nothing happens.
Click. Fuck, that's the worst sound
It
in
wasn't
the world,
loaded.
I'm sure.
It wasn't loaded. And this put him into a fit of fucking rage.
Yeah.
Like, he fucking lost it. He shot her 3 times. Then he goes to the kitchen and he gets a big knife and he stabs her. And then he gouges out her eyes, putting them in a jewelry box and taking them with him. And he left footprints in the flower bed. And they were like Avaya sneakers. I don't know. And the only evidence the only evidence they had was the bullets. And they were matched to previous attacks. So now they know that this is the same person. Mm-hmm. The shoe print is new, but the bullets are lining up.
Yeah.
So now they have a serial killer at large and they're like, shit. And those poor people were found by their son, Peter. I couldn't even imagine. I couldn't even imagine. So on May 4th, 1985, he went back to Monterey Park and he entered the home of Bill, who was 66 years old, and his disabled wife, Leanna, who was 56. He surprised Bill in his room, shooting him in the face with a .22 semi-automatic pistol. And he shot him when he was going for his gun. Bill was reaching for his gun to handle this situation properly. He beat him unconscious, and then he went into his wife's room where he bound her with thumb cuffs. And I don't even know what the fuck those are. Are those really just like thumb cuffs? Oh, okay. Duh. Obviously, Jean-Marie. Duh. And then he raped her. And then he robbed him, and Bill, sadly, he later died at the hospital. So his poor wife, who was disabled, is now without the person who has been taking care of her.
Yeah.
And had this horrible tragic thing happen to her.
What happened to her? I mean,
she survived.
Yeah. He didn't stab her or shoot her.
No, she survived. And then on May 29th of 1985, he stole a Mercedes-Benz.
Go big or go home.
Right? Ooh. To, what the fuck is this place?
Monrovia,
California. He went to the house of, this is the sweetest name in the world, Mabel.
Yeah.
People called her Ma.
Yeah.
Her name was Mabel Bell.
Oh, honey, was she from there? Now I'm curious.
I don't know. She was so sweet. She was 83 years old, and her handicapped sister Florence. Fucking Florence. And they called her Nettie.
Yeah.
Two sweet old birds living together. She was 81. When he got into their house, he found a hammer in their kitchen. And he bludgeoned and bound.
What the fuck?
Yep.
And they were 80s?
Yeah.
So he's just a badass?
Mm-hmm. And
God.
Yeah, he found the hammer in the kitchen.
Unreal.
Yeah. Dude, it was horrible. And then, so he got her, the sister, Nettie, who, reminds you, she's invalid. Mm-hmm. And that's all I know. I don't know, like, what her situation was or anything, in her room. And then he went and bound and killed the other sister using an electric cord. And he was using an electric cord to shock them. And he raped them both. He used his Belle's lipstick. Okay, so that's the older sister. That's Maribel. Mm-hmm. He used her lipstick to do a pentagram on the thigh of Florence. And he did it above the beds in both walls. On both walls. In both walls. On both walls. They were found 2 days later. They were both still alive, but comatose. Fucking Mabel died at the hospital later from her injuries. So the next...
She hung on, though.
They did, dude. They did. Those poor women, they tried. It was so heartbreaking. The next day, he went to Burbank on the 30th. He snuck into the home of Carol Kyle. She was 42 at gunpoint. He bound her and her 11-year-old son with handcuffs. Mm. He released Carol to show him where all the family valuables were and like everything that he could pawn and rob, because he was a drug addict at the same time. Because he found that like coke, I guess, was his big thing. He shot up coke, and I guess it helped him like with his seizures and stuff. He said it like helped him. So that's what his drug of choice was. And then he raped and sodomized her repeatedly. He told her not to look at him or else he would cut her eyes out. Sound familiar? And then he locked her son in a closet. He put him in a closet.
So her son didn't have to watch this.
No.
But he heard it probably.
Yeah, he heard it, but he didn't have to witness it. And then he got him from the closet and put them back together. And then he takes off. And he takes a break of the month of June. He takes a vacay. Well, I don't know what he does. He just doesn't kill anybody. Mm-hmm. He's just, June's off limits, I guess. But he starts up first thing in July.
Yeah.
No fear. So on June 2nd of 1985, he stole a Toyota and drove to Arcata, California, where he picked the home of Mary Louise Cannon, who was 75 years old, a widowed grandma. Poor sweet little thing. He found her sleeping in her bed, and he beat her with a lamp, knocking her out, and then repeatedly stabbing her with a 10-inch butcher knife.
Jesus.
She was found dead at the scene.
Yeah.
So she sadly didn't live. And then on July 5th, in Santa Monterey, California, is that right?
Santa Monterey?
Yeah. Okay. He broke into the home of a 16-year-old Whitney Bennett and beat her with a tire iron while she was sleeping. He's a fucking punk, dude.
Jesus.
Like, you know what I mean? First off, you're invading my fucking home where I'm supposed to be the fucking safest. Uh-huh. And then you're gonna fucking attack me while I'm sleeping, you fucking punk. Anyway.
Because he had to have stalked him to know who was in that house.
Kinda, sorta.
So he picked old, disabled,
yeah,
16-year-old.
Yeah, he picked people that couldn't fight back. And if you were a dude, he shot you immediately. Like, you were fucking first to go. Like, you're just a punk. But anyway, so he beat her with a tire iron while she was sleeping, like I said. After looking forever for a knife, dude. He said he could not find one. Like, in her kitchen. He could not find a fucking knife.
Huh.
So he's like, you know what? I'm going to go back and I'm going to strangle her with the phone cord. Okay, so he's strangling her and he's strangling her. He's shocked as fuck because all of a sudden, dude, the fucking cord starts sparking. And he's like, shh, what the fuck? And then she starts breathing. So he's like, whoa.
She's meant to be here.
Whoa, 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 whoa. And so he does, dude. He freaks out and he says that God intervened to save her. And she survived the attack. She had to get 478 stitches to close the cut on her head.
Oh my gosh.
So, I mean, this poor girl didn't go without a horrible recovery, I imagine. Like, it's just sad. At least she lived, though. I mean, I'd rather take those stitches over not being here. So, yeah, he left because he believes in Satan, bro. Like, when shit starts popping off like that and people just start coming back to life.
You take that as a sign.
Something's happening. So, then on July 7th, so, I mean, we're still in the same damn week.
Uh-huh.
I mean, like, we haven't even made it to Sunday. Jesus. Like, he took my birthday off, though.
Oh, good.
There was no death on my birthday.
Good.
So.
From him.
From him. Yeah. Plenty of others.
Sorry.
Sadly. Yes. He robbed the home of 61-year-old Joyce Louise Nilsson in Monterey Park. She was sleeping in her living room. He beat and stomped her to death. He left his shoe print on her face.
So they were able to match the shoe print.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, to the other crime scene, yeah. Mm-hmm. So now we know.
The flower bed?
Yep, yeah. Now we're following him. Like, he's done all this. Well, not even really. Dude, this doesn't even happen until later that they piece it all together. Because at the time, he was doing it in so many different spots. And there were so many different police departments and stuff that they were not talking to each other.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't know what each other had.
Yeah.
Until shit got way too out of control. You know what I mean? So anyway. So that same night, he goes through 2 other neighborhoods, and then he cruised 2 other neighborhoods, and then he goes back to Monterey Park, choosing this home of Stephanie Dickman, who was 63 years old. He assaulted and handcuffed her at gunpoint. He attempted to rape her, but he didn't. Stole her all of her jewelry. She swore at him after he took all of her shit. So she was mad. She's like, yeah. She's like, fuck you.
How
I'm
old
assuming.
Was she? You know, I mean, you hang on.
63.
Yep, you hang on.
Yeah, so she's cussing at him and she's like, fuck you, bitch. I'm assuming. We're just going to say she did because it sounds cool. And I can only imagine a cute little old lady being mean. And he told her to swear to Satan. And that's it. She survives. She's just pissed the fuck off and survives. She's just been robbed and tried to been raped, but so yeah, he tells her to swear to Satan, not at him. You know what I mean? Fuck cuss at me. So on July 20th, so I mean he takes a decent break. You know what I mean? From the 7th to the 20th.
Of July?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm leaving.
He bought a machete before driving a stolen Toyota to Glendale, California.
Was that the same stolen Toyota?
I believe so.
Oh, yeah.
I believe so.
Okay.
I think.
Glendale, California?
Mm-hmm.
That sounds familiar. I might have been through there.
Right. And he went into Leanne Kingdon's home, who was 66, and her husband, Maxon, who was 68. He bursted in the room, hacking them with a hatchet, and then he killed them with a shot to the head, and still attacked them after they died with the hatchet. Robbed them and sold all of his shit as fast as he could. He drove to Sun Valley, California. At 4:15 a.m., he broke into the home of the Kokovich family, I think. Right?
Whoa! Kovanoff
family? Kovanoff, yeah. Wow, I fucked that up.
Definitely inner east, inner east.
Yeah, so that family. He shot the husband in the head while he was sleeping with the .25 caliber handgun, and then repeatedly raped and Some Kid was the wife's name. Sorry. I skipped that part.
What was her name?
Some Kid?
Oh.
Some Kid. Yeah, I don't know if I'm saying that right. It's Japanese, I think.
Okay.
So, and that's, dude, you fucking...
Yeah.
I'm white, bro. I don't know. So sorry. Hate me, folks. I'm so sorry. Names are not my thing. So he beat and sodomized her, and he tied her 8-year-old son up before having, yeah, dude, it's Some Kid, show him all and any valuables. He demanded that she swore to Satan that she was not hiding anything from him.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, Satan's a big thing here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's a big deal, I guess. I don't know. Satan. And so he leaves, gives her, like, only the husband dies, sadly.
Huh.
On August 6th, 1985, he drove to Northridge, California.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, we're getting familiar. Breaking into the home of Chris and Virginia Peterson, he shot Virginia, who was 27 years old, in the face, and shot Chris in the temple, and when he attempted to flee, Chris fought back, which in this fight, he missed 2 other shots that were fired at him.
Mm-hmm.
So...
After he was shot in the temple,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes if it's not pointed right, it just goes...
They both survived.
Yeah. Wow.
Shot to the face and a shot to the temple. Both survived. And he fought back.
Oh,
And he fought back. Like, you are not... That is a person who is not about to die.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, he... And I bet that scared the shit out of Richard Ramirez.
Good.
You know what I mean?
Good.
To be like...
I get excited whenever he gets his ass kicked.
Like,
Good.
oh my God. Damn, I shot this dude. Why is he fighting me? Like, I don't know, man. There's a lot of signs that I'm telling you, your Satan thing just ain't playing out in your favor. You know what I mean?
Well, and husbands get protective of their wives, you know?
Yeah.
Her shot in the damn face. Yeah, I'm sure Eric would have something to say about that. You know what I mean?
Right. I hope. So, on August 8th of 1985, he drove his stolen car to Diamond Bar, California. And that, I think... No, we'll go through this one. We'll do her story and then we'll stop. So... Oh, dude, I'm gonna fucking... Hold on, people. Let's let Jean say this name because I'm gonna butcher it and I already know I am.
Sakina Aboath.
Yep, she's 27. And her husband...
Elias?
31. Sometime after 2:30 a.m., he comes into their home, killing Elias by shooting him in the head and handcuffed and beat her and forcing her to reveal, of course, again, all the locations in the home of the family jewelry and anything worth of value. He brutally raped her and sodomized her. He repeatedly demanded that she swear to Satan that she would not scream. Their 3-year-old son came in the middle of this act.
Oh.
He tied up their son and then continued to rape her. Which is fucking like a mom's worst fucking nightmare. Then he left. She untied her son and sent him to the neighbors for help. And he watched all of his news coverage on him and everything else that was happening. So he was like, you know what? Maybe I've spent enough time in Los Angeles.
Uh-huh.
Maybe I should go to San Francisco. So that's where he decides to go to take his show on the road.
Mm-hmm.
And go to good old San Fran. And we will go through this, I think. Yep, we'll go through this one and then we'll stop after this one and then leave you guys on a cliffhanger. Because I'm going to be mean. I'm not going to make you guys wait for it, though. We'll release it the next day. So you have to wait like 24 hours. But anyway, on August 18th of 1985, he broke into the home of Peter and Barbara Pan.
Pan?
Peter Pan.
Oh,
You can't have
cute, you're
miserable
so cute.
things. You can't have miserable things happen to you when your name's fucking Peter Pan.
That's awesome. Was it just the one end or two ends?
Just the one.
Oh, wow.
Straight Peter Pan, dude.
I bet he got teased as a kid.
I bet he did. Ugh. He killed Peter, who is 66 years old, shooting him in the temple with the .25 caliber handgun. He beat and sexually assaulted,
Of course. The old lady.
Barbara, yeah, who was 62 years old, before shooting her in the head and leaving her for dead, using lipstick to draw a pentagram and the phrase.
Swear to Satan.
No, right? You would fucking hope. It's better than what he wrote. Jack the Knife. The fuck? Like, you don't even have like a cool catchphrase. Like, you're going on this rampage and you've never once, in the middle of this non-bathing nastiness, because he is described the same by everyone who survives and sees him. Mm-hmm. He is a Mexican dude with curly hair, big eyes, nasty ass teeth, and he stinks to high hell. Mm-hmm. And he loves fucking Satan.
Well, you also said that he was a drug addict. Well, so he's probably just way too high to think about.
Well, yeah.
What name he should put on the wall? Cause maybe he was feeling paranoid. That's why he left
I would
LA.
just think you should give yourself a badass name, though, if you're going to be dumb.
Jack
you know
the
what
Knife.
I mean?
It's original.
Jack the Knife.
Yeah. Sounds painful, but...
It doesn't even sound... Like, I wouldn't put that on a shirt. You know what I mean? I can't advertise you, bro. Like, I can't... Jack the Knife.
Yeah, they're not going to put that in the paper. Pick a name.
Yeah. Like, even the people are like... No. We want to dub the... What did they fucking call his dumbass? I just couldn't get over it. What was it? Just kidding.
I forgot, sorry.
Right? You're horrible. I don't even remember what it was they called it.
You keep inviting me back. No.
I know. Oh, yeah. The walk-in killer.
The walk-in killer, that's
I would definitely sign something, the walk-in killer, before it did Jack the Knife.
I know, but honestly, that doesn't make me that almost...
Okay, well, what about the Valley Intruder? You know what I mean? Well, no, because then I guess VI. That sounds like a fucking STD.
Well, yeah, they have a cream for it, you know?
Yeah, like, sincerely, VI. Like, no. So, maybe in a time of panic, I don't know, Jack the Knife is what he wrote on the fucking wall. That's all I know. So, yeah. Hopefully you guys stay tuned for part 2, because we ain't fucking done yet.
Geez, so how many victims is that so far that we've gone through?
Oh, dude, I don't know. You should have been counting.
Well,
I ain't going back.
My bad.
People don't like the sound of the flipping of the page. That's why I'm trying to flip it over here, like I'm not even trying to move it, like blow on it.
People don't like the sound of the flipping of the page.
Yeah. I guess. So I'm trying not to flip the page. And I did for like a whole second there. I just scrambled through fucking pages. So obviously I don't take criticism well. Who knows? The person who knows that told me that, they'll giggle when they hear this part. But anyway.
You know who you are.
You know who you be. Anyway, so yeah, remember in about 24 hours you guys can hear part 2 if you want. Hopefully you guys still like us and want to hear it. So, anyway. Oh, and by the fucking way, guys, we're on iTunes, which is kind of fucking amazing. So if you have an iTunes account, go and give us a 5-star rating and comment. You have to do the 2. It's a twofer. You got to do both. And let us know what you guys think. And yeah. And then you guys can follow us on Instagram at itiswhatitis.pod19. All one thing. No spaces.
No spaces.
On Twitter, we are itiswhatitis208. And then you can email us at itiswhatitis.pod19@gmail.com. And then please join and follow our Facebook group at itiswhatitis.pod19, I think. It is. So, yeah, we love you guys and hold on tight. We'll be back in a flash.
Thanks.